I want to make a quick video on why I will not switch to Wayland. Not now and probably never. So, and my main point, or my main reason is just efficiency, like pure technical efficiency. Because if we look at this graph, and you know this graph if you've seen my video on keyboards, we will see, and I've kind of labeled it. So right here we have X11. This is kind of a local maximum, meaning that X11 is kind of the best. Well, in this locality, at least. And over here we have Wayland, and all the technical arguments why Wayland is better are of course very valid. It has better architecture, it is more modular, it is more secure, and all these arguments are very valid. It's a kind of, you could say, a superset of X11 because you can run most, I think, or maybe all X11 applications or programs in Wayland as well, and stuff like that. But of course, so Wayland is higher, so it may be a absolute maximum in the best case, of course. But there is a kind of adjustment period, and I call this adjustment value, and I didn't have this in the keyboards video, but it's the same thing. I mean, this also applies to that, this kind of label. So this adjustment value is the time you spend, well, adjusting to this new graphical environment. So you have to adjust, probably, if you use a window manager like I do, so I use DWM, you will have to see, okay, what kind of alternative is there to that, and how can I use it, how can I adjust my config to it, and so on and so forth. And this adjustment value will be deeper the more you are integrated into X11, of course, with your workflow kind of. And this kind of local maximum will be, for you personally, or for me, it will be higher the more you are integrated, of course. So this is kind of, I think this is intuitively clear. And so, and I have kind of this dotted line here, because this adjustment value is shallower if you are using something like KDE, GNOME, or like some of these like big mainstream kind of desktop environments, because of course they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of people working on them, they will port them to Wayland quickly and like better and stuff like that. And you as the user may not be integrated that much into X11 with, for example, your scripting or your workflow and stuff like that. But like for someone like me, this is kind of a very, very deep valley, and I'm just not gonna go through it, because for what? This is really the question I think one needs to ask. For what? Like, what's the selling point of Wayland? I mean, I get it. It has nicer architecture, and it is just new, it doesn't have all this legacy stuff in it, but how does this like affect me as the user? Like, what's in it for me is kind of the question. Like, why should I do this? With keyboards, I think it's very clear. The selling point of a ergonomic keyboard, or a better, like a more thought through keyboard layout than QWERTY, is, well, your hands. Your hands will thank you. And also you might type faster, but this is kind of a auxiliary argument, I think. It's primarily about your hands and about the health of your hands, I would say. But with Wayland, I just don't see it. Like, sorry. I mean, I get it. Like, even something like this high HI DPI thing, that you can have different DPIs for different monitors. I mean, that's a great selling point, and that's actually something I do occasionally miss, but this is not enough to like go through this value. Like, that's like a minor point, at least for me. So, and I also want to talk about security in a bit more detail, because of course security is, I think, one of the biggest selling points of Wayland, that it is more secure, that not just any program can read all your key strokes and can see your screen and record your audio and stuff like that. And I mean, yeah, sure, this is of course true. I don't want to debate this on a technical thing. I just want to say, if someone has access to your system and they would be able to read all your keystrokes and record your screen on X11, like, I'm sorry, but I think you have bigger problems, because then that also means they can write, like they can write to your file system, like even if only as your normal user. Like, I mean, you're compromised anyways. So, and I mean, I get it. Yeah, sure. If you input your password, you don't want that to be read by some random program, like it can on X11, sure. But I think, like, for example, I use Pass as my password manager, and for Pass I use GPG keys. Like, like you normally do. So I encrypt my stuff with GPG keys. But now GPG has this feature, and I mean, I could disable this just to give you an example of all the holes that are in a system, or that can be in a system. GPG, if I input my password, it will store that for like, I think it is 10 minutes. So I don't have, if I want to open multiple GPG encrypted files, I can do that without having to enter my password every single time. And this really is kind of necessary, I found, at least for me. And I mean, this would be a great example as in a attacker or someone who's compromised your system might not be able to read from your, read your keystrokes, as in Wayland, for example, but still there are so many aspects where your passwords, for example, can still be compromised without actually reading the actual keystrokes. So I think this is kind of honestly, this is a non-argument if you ask me, because again, if someone is in the position to read what you input into your keyboard, I'm sorry, but it's over. I'm sorry, honestly. And yeah, I think these are my kind of main points. I will be trying out Xlibra, which is a fork of X11, because at this point X11 is really deprecated. No one's working on it actively anymore, at least on the side of Red Hat, I think it is. So they are all moving on to Wayland. I mean, which is fine. I mean, they should do their stuff and all that. And if all distros want to change to Wayland, I mean, that's fine as well. But there are people who, like me, don't want to go through this enormous adjustment valley and want to switch up the whole workflow for nothing, just because some managers or executives decided, well, we need a new graphical environment for security reasons. I mean, this is just I'm sorry, but that's really, I just don't see it. And Xlibra is, of course, a sort of community project, you could say, in contrast to Wayland, which is very much a corporate software project. So, and just for me personally, I have made better experience with sort of community projects, when compared to kind of software corporate projects. I don't know, that's maybe just me, but I just think that's a better model for, at least for the software I want to use. And that is software which maybe doesn't have all the features in the world, but I think it's just better that way. And that's also why I like DWN very much. That's also why I like Chicken very much. That's also why I like Emacs very much. I like all of these pieces of software, not because they are community, or not primarily because they are they are community projects, but that kind of aspect drives a lot of other things I have found. So I think Xlibra will be more like that in contrast to Wayland. So yeah, I will be trying out Xlibra in the coming future, and I'll probably make a video about it, because on Alpine they kind of haven't taken it up, or how do you say it? Because of some political reasons, I think, I don't know. But there is a Alpine repository for it, and I'll be trying that out sometime. TM. All right, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say. These are kind of my thoughts on the whole Wayland thing. I think the hype around this is kind of stupid. I mean, if you switch to it, if I were to just install Ubuntu now, I mean, I wouldn't see any. I don't know. Does Ubuntu use Wayland? I don't know. But if it did, I wouldn't see any difference to when I was using it I don't know, years ago, when it still was using X11. It's really just kind of the difference, I think, is mostly in people's heads. So yeah, that's it. Have a nice day.